Awesome. All right. Will you do me a favor? Because a lot of our agents are present here, and because we just started recording, would you guys do me the honor of introducing yourselves to the audience that's live currently and that's going to watch this in the future?
Absolutely. So I'm Kyle Shimoda. This is Richard Park III. We're wealth advisors out here in Hawaii, and we work for a firm called Impact Wealth Solutions. We're a small boutique wealth advisory firm. Both Richard and I, we've been in business close to almost 20 years each, so combined industry experience close to 40 years. And we're going to talk about the Delaware Statutory Trust today. We'll explain why that might be important to you guys. We've become specialists in that area 5 years as a result of doing financial planning for our clients and their biggest asset and their biggest liability being the properties they own. And so we found this tool, this financial tool that works well with real estate investors. We became specialists because of the way we were assisting our clients. And I think how we got connected with you guys was through, was it Team Lali out here in Hawaii?
Yeah, Team Lolly. I'm friends with Adrian, so is Sophia, and Adrian and Tilio have come to our market center. I know some agents here remember their presentation. I love it. They kept it real. We're good friends of theirs for many, many years. And Adrian spoke really highly about you guys and the way that you guys are able to teach and consult and help clients. So I'm excited to learn.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I just jumped off a call with, actually both Rich and I were on calls with Team Lolly this morning, training their ISAs on how to pinpoint a potential 1031 exchange and therefore a possible conversation with us about the Delaware Statutory Trust.
Wow.
And,
see, that's really good for the agents. I'm sorry, Kyle, to cut you off. That's really good for us to learn the fact that they train their admins, ISAs, every single person how to identify that and potentially help people in any type of way. So that's really impressive.
Yeah, they're getting. Yeah, well, go ahead, Richard.
I was just going to say, we found, I've been doing it for about 12 years, and then we teach people about the DST and they find interest, but then they don't know how to apply it or to help people. So that's why the past 5-6 years, we've been focusing and, honing our skills to help you become, better at helping your clients. And it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, I'll just share a quick story how I even met Adrian. Was Adrian and my wife were re-auditing this personal development seminar, and they were kind of sharing PSI. Yes.
A lot of us hear us talking about PSI. A lot of us in this chat have actually gone to it. I've done women's leadership.
Oh, awesome.
So they're familiar with PSI. So that's awesome.
Excellent. Yes. So yeah, game changer for my life and career. Anyways, so Adrian and my wife were re-auditing the basic, and Adrian was sharing her story about how she was getting divorced and she was almost being forced to sell a property and all this taxes she was going to pay. And my wife basically responded, well, I think my husband could help you with that. Maybe you should give him a call. So Adrian gave me a call, I explained how, a DST works and how that might be beneficial in avoiding the capital gains tax. And everything worked out in a very short amount of time. She trusted me, I think, because of the work we've both done separately, yet a similar time frame. And yes, she avoided paying probably about $70,000 in capital gains taxes, and now she gets a check in her inbox for $500 every single month because of that exchange into a Delaware Statutory Trust. So not only is she an advisor on it, she's also a client. So.
Oh, I'm extremely impressed. And Richard, how did you guys connect? And before we go into this learning lesson, and we're so excited to have you.
Kyle and myself?
Yeah, how did you connect with Kyle?
That's a kind of interesting story. So I actually met Kyle probably about 12 years ago or so, and we were introduced to a mutual friend. The U.S. Assistant District Attorney was new to the island, and we had a mutual friend, and so we all went to a barbecue. I showed up with some steaks, and Kyle had some fancy stuffed mushroom, crab meat, truffle oil, something, because he's a foodie. And so I was like, man, this guy's putting me to shame. And then years later, I partnered with our other, counterpart, Troy Wada, to develop the DST. And, so when I was talking to Troy, walked in the office and I see a picture of everybody, I'm like, hey, that's Kyle. So it's kind of interesting how we came full circle, to partner with each other. And so Kyle and myself, we've been partnering with Team Lally, to try to help them develop and, build their business to, offer other alternatives. Yeah.
Awesome. And this knowledge applies to any state that we're in, correct?
Absolutely.
So this
we're
is
like-
good
we're-
for, so our agents can help themselves here and families and friends in this state and other states. Is that correct?
Yeah,
That's correct.
Okay.
yeah. I'd say majority of our DST business with the exchanges are Hawaii and California. Yet we've got clients as far as East Coast. And in fact, yeah, I think I'm Sophia. I saw her jump off. She had referred me to I think a potential client. I just got off the phone with him earlier this morning, and he's super interested. So hopefully he's gonna start listing some properties with you, Sophia. So hope you caught that.
Yeah, she heard you in the hall right here.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Because here's a benefit here, right? If we can help nudge your client in their best interest to sell their property, right? We're gonna get them to sell it with you guys. And whether they do a DST or not, that was great for us, maybe in the future. Yet if we can help you guys sell more property, right, that's gonna potentially benefit Richard and I later on.
Yeah, helping with these consultations with clients, we've actually been helping get listings from people who are kind of on the fence or maybe weren't considering selling, but after educating about the DST, now they wanted to sell. So, it's been a game changer.
Yeah.
I'm excited. This is gonna help us get some more listings. Woo!
Yes.
And
So
to
you
help
can
more
see-
people.
Yes. So yeah, if you guys can see my screen there, yeah, the goal is for you guys, why you need to know about the Delaware Statutory Trust, I'll call it DST for short, is increase your listings, never have a failed 1031 exchange, and then providing unique solutions that other realtors are not talking about. And I think this is definitely what Team Lali has told me is they've won listings because they just mention, they don't go into a very detailed explanation of what it is. Just the fact that they mention it and then put that prospect in contact with us, that's more than every other realtor that's doing here in Hawaii. So potentially could be the same for you guys. Now, and also, if you guys have questions, you can drop it in the chat. Richard, if you want to watch it for a little bit, and then Rich is going to share, and then I'll watch the chat. So go ahead and ask questions in the chat if you want, and then we'll have some time at the end where you can ask questions live as well. So reasons why real estate investors find the DST attractive is, number one, no management responsibility. In fact, that was the call that Richard and I had today with ISAs, was just asking that one question, like do you enjoy managing your investment property, right? And there's other questions that could follow, yet if the answer to that question is no, not really, it's not my favorite thing to do, right? That's a potential sell, 1031 exchange, maybe even a DST. There's low minimums, so as minimum as 100,000 on an exchange into a DST. Increased or stabilized income. Richard's going to cover some income, and we'll show you a couple case studies at the end. It's a good plan a plan B, or a replacement for boot. So boot is another word for leftovers. Okay, so let's say you sell a property for $1 million, you find a dream replacement for 900,000. That leftover, that 100,000 is considered boot. Okay, so now when you do an exchange, some of you know that if you've done them before, you have a very strict timeline. After you sell your property, you've got 45 days to identify a replacement or multiple replacements, and 180 days to close. So we always recommend, if you're working with investors that are selling property, put a DST as a plan B, as a backup, just in case the other properties fall out, right? It could be a plan A, as Richard mentioned. There's some clients that are on the fence that don't know there's other options out there and decide just to hold on to property. Yet when they understand that they have options like a DST, that might be the number one reason for them to list with you. We get access to institutional quality property like Amazon warehouses. Verizon's headquarters actually is in a DST right now. About 40% of all Walmarts are actually in DSTs owned by regular real estate investors. Rich is going to cover a little bit more about the types of properties that go in there. We can get diversification in different asset classes, right? Different types of property like warehouses, self-storage, multifamily. It can be in one state or several states. We can also replace debt, and that's huge. We don't have enough time today to cover this part, yet from a planning perspective, can be a huge game changer for a lot of investors that have mortgages, have debt on their property. If possible, we would love to come back and share more and go in more detail on some of the benefits of the DST, like the non-recourse debt. And then for estate planning purposes, right? A lot of people, when they sell property, leaving physical property to more than one child can cause issues, right? Leaving behind a Delaware Statutory trust where they have beneficial interest in property, yet not having to physically manage a property, can be actually better than just leaving a house or home to 2 or 3 or more children. So now I'm going to pass over to Richard, and he's going to talk a little bit about what exactly DST is and kind of how it works.
So before I do that, I just wanted to comment on the replacing the debt part. Just real quick comment. We've actually helped people that were declined for financing on a regular 1031 exchange, and we were able to put them into a DST. So that non-recourse loan doesn't require any loan application or qualification. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay. So what is a Delaware Statutory Trust, or DST? So in 2004, the IRS passed a ruling. The IRC code is 2004-86, so you can Google it, and it allows a DST to purchase quality investment grade property and be a like-kind replacement property. So it's actually the only investment that you can do a 1031 exchange and utilize as a like-kind replacement property. And what like-kind means is basically investment property for investment property. So you can sell a single family and buy a multifamily. You can sell multifamily and get an office space as long as it's investment for investment. It allows actually more up to 2,000 plus investors, but the company we work with limits to about 500 accredited investors to pool their money together to buy beautiful properties like these. These are all actual DSTs. Now, what is an accredited investor? So to qualify to invest in a DST, you need 1 million net worth, not counting the value of your primary residence. So it does include the value of the rental properties, 401ks, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all of that combined. Or it can be income oriented, which is 200,000 a year or greater for single individuals, or 300,000 a year for married couples. So it's either or. Now, the advantage to having 500 people plus is you're able to buy into these properties. And as Kyle mentioned, there's low minimums of 100,000. So you can actually buy a piece of ESPN or AT&T or one of these beautiful multifamilies and be a proportionate owner. You don't need 50 to 100 million to buy in. So it's a huge advantage there. As I mentioned before, you don't have to qualify for a loan. So when you get into the DST and it replaces your debt, you actually won't even show that on your credit report. So you actually look better. It'll just be part of the DST. One of the negatives that people might see as a negative, but I see as a positive, is there's no voting rights. So when you're in the DST with these other owners, the DST sponsor company has the responsibility of doing what's in the investor's best interest. So they decide when to sell, when to do, certain things. The investor doesn't have a vote. Now, some people don't like that, but to me, it's an advantage, because in like a tenants in common where everybody has a vote, you need a unanimous vote in order to sell the property. If one person is holding out, you can't sell the property. So really the vote doesn't have a lot of power unless you're the only vote. And so it actually makes the DST more nimble, meaning they can do what they feel is right at the opportune time without having to consult everybody. Each DST is filed with the SEC, or Securities and Exchange Commission. The Securities and Exchange Commission's job is to make sure that the investments are safe for the investor, meaning there's no fraud or scams going on. So they actually send out their third parties to review the properties. The properties have to be quality commercial properties. They can't be fixer-uppers, and they have to have high occupancy. So they send out their people to review the properties, make sure the property's in good condition. Then they review all the documentations, the rent rolls, everything to make sure it's in good order. Then they stamp off on it for investor use. So that doesn't mean it's going to be a home run, a great investment, but it does mean that it's a solid investment with no funny business going on. Okay, next slide. Okay, so how does it work? So how do you guys get paid, or the investor rather? So the investors, they earn an income of about 3.5%. Right now it's 3.65 on the low side to about 4.5% net of all fees. So that's the cash on cash return. So if you put in $1 million, right now you're getting about 36,500 to 45,000 a year. That's paid out on a monthly basis. It can be directly deposited to your checking account, savings account, brokerage account, or you can get a physical check mailed to you. The target appreciation, so on top of that, there's growth. So they want to sell the DST properties in about 5 to 7 years, and they're hoping that it grows about 3 to 5% per year. Right now, the average return has been about 9 to 12% total return with the income and the growth. However, this past year, we had 13 DSTs sell for a profit, and they range from 38% growth up to 250% growth. And last year the market was really good, so not the norm. So people were averaging probably about 25% average rate of return that year. So who is a DST good for? It just kind of summarizes what Kyle mentioned. So when I first found out about the DST about 12 years ago, my clients were complaining about dealing with the management of the property. The properties are getting run down. They got to fix it up, but they don't want to do it. They haven't raised the rent, and it's just all the headaches of the management. So if they're getting tired of managing the property, the DST is a great option for them. It is professionally managed for them. They just collect the checks. They get all the tax benefits, step up in cost basis. Shares are split to the beneficiary when they pass away, so no fighting. If they don't want to sell the property due to paying capital gains tax, so this is a way that they can sell through you folks and put into the DST through a 1031 and defer the capital gains tax and depreciation recapture. Or if they're worried about finding a replacement in the 45 days. So that's, it's a hot market. That's kind of the, the worry of it, is finding a replacement. So the DST can be used as the third replacement property or the second replacement property to make sure you have a backup. Some people like the income, to continue the income. The DST, it depends on the state. In Hawaii, we're usually able to increase the income. The net income is lower in Hawaii. So if we can at least keep it close to what they're earning or increase it, but they don't have to manage it, to me, that's a win. They don't want to have to pay for those repairs. Right now, sell the property as is, and so they don't have to spend that money out of pocket. As Kyle mentioned, diversify the properties. So you can diversify into different property types. Like Kyle mentioned, we have multifamily, storage facilities, student housing, senior living. It could be a variety. You can divide it between those asset classes or even different states. So sometimes right now we have a DST that has properties in 3 different states in one DST. So you can diversify location-wise as well. If you know of people that own properties together in a partnership or LLC, and they may want to divide the asset but not pay tax, we can utilize the DST to help them divide the asset without paying tax. We have a strategy that can help people cash out a portion tax-free. So we can go, I think Kyle might cover that in a little bit too, but that's been a game changer for us, where people own a lot of property, they're property rich and cash poor. This is a way that we can help them as well. Or if they're worried about their beneficiaries fighting when they pass away, they're running out of tax deductions, we can actually get them more tax deductions. If they're having issues renting it due to the moratoriums or COVID-19, or if they were doing Airbnbs and they're no longer allowed to due to the short issues, you have to rent for at least a month or more. And if they're just going through divorce, it was kind of like Adrian's situation, we can utilize the DST as well to help with that, so they don't have to sell and realize those capital gains tax. So, all right, Kyle, I'll pass it back to you. You're mute. Still mute.
I just realized that. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to cover a couple case studies with the limited amount of time we have left. Again, we can go into more detail. Over the years, we've built many strategies, because every individual investor is unique, their properties are unique, so we customize the strategies for them. In some cases, we're working with family trusts or corporations, multiple properties, right? So we've developed advanced strategies. So these are just some snapshots of things we've designed, all custom to our clients. I'm going to share just 2 very basic examples so you can get kind of a feel for how we might work with some of the clients you already have in your Rolodex. So case study number 1, this is basic 1031 exchange into a DST. Okay, so this is an actual client we worked with. So the value of the property was 1.3 million, and there was no mortgage at that time. Okay, so you can see there the equity 1.3 million. The rent, gross rent, $4,300 a month, right? All those expenses. So the net rent was a little over $2,300 a month. about 28,000 a year, right? So when you net out all those expenses, that's a 2.2% net cap rate. And that's pretty good for Hawaii. I can imagine even in California, if they're getting somewhere between 0 and 3%, that's pretty good, right? So in comparison to a DST is paying about 3.65 to 4.5% net, right? So for some people, more income, yet definitely the benefit is no management. And sometimes people are willing even to take less income if they don't have to manage anymore, right? So here's what the investor decided to do. And also to clarify, what this investor wanted to do was sell the property and then maybe cash out, pay some taxes, and then he could go and pay off his primary residence and then buy a property for his daughter in Vegas so that she could stay there when she goes to college, and then after she graduates, then he'd have a place to stay, right? Yet his taxes on this would have been huge, okay? So what we recommended instead, and a very simple strategy was, let's just sell the property, right? So list it with your agent, okay? So equity of 1.3 million, 0 debt, income of 28,000 a year, okay? So sell the property. Now, in order to defer all capital gains, the IRS rule is you have to replace with equal or greater value, okay? So in this scenario, we could use a DST that has no debt on it. Again, this is more of an advanced thought. So we can talk more on a later call about how we'll use DSTs more specifically with loan to value. So in this case, the DST, 1.3 million went in equity, no debt. So we replaced equal value, 1.3 million to 1.3 million. So no capital gains tax in the exchange. The income in this case, in the DST was 52,000 a year, right? So that was an increase of about 81.5% of income, right? And no management, okay? So that's a very simple, basic example of how we've used the DST. I'll show you another example, and Richard kind of mentioned this lightly, is how we do a cash out strategy, okay? So same client, right? He still wants to pay off his primary residence. He wants to buy a property for his daughter in Vegas. Yet the problem is if he sells the property and does not do an exchange, then he's got to pay a ton of capital gains tax, okay? So same numbers here, all right? Income only about 2.2% net per year. So what we recommended, right? And again, this is part of our jobs. Richard and I, we're wealth advisors, financial planners. We're looking at the best possible outcome. So we'll build and run scenarios to find the best possible outcome. So what we recommended the client do, okay, so numbers the same here, was to take out a line of credit. Now it could be a line of credit, it could be a cash out refi. So they borrow the money and he took $600,000 and put it in the bank. So he's got $600,000 of cash sitting in the bank. And then he listed the property and sold it, okay? Starts his 1031 exchange clock, 45 days to identify, 180 days to close. Now in this case, okay, so you can see here, after you've taken out the line of credit, there's only 700,000 of equity left, okay? Here, we used a 50% loan to value DST, okay? So a DST that has debt on it to help investors that have loan to value on their relinquished property being able to replace it. So the DST provided $700,000 of debt, okay, at 50% loan to value. So 700,000 of equity, $700,000 of debt. So the total value, replacement value of the DST was 1.4 million. So able to defer all capital gains tax because we replaced equal or greater value. The income is going to be based only off the equity though, right? So the income based on the 700,000 was 31,500. So no taxes, $600,000 of cash sitting in the bank, and an increase of income, only 9.92%. Yet also keep in mind, no management, cash in the bank, increased income. So now this investor bought his daughter a property in Vegas. He was able to pay off most of his primary residence mortgage, right? And he doesn't have to manage this property anymore. And then his appreciation is based off of the full value of the DST, the 1.4. His income is based off of the equity. So
Yeah, this was
yeah.
I just wanted to add, this was a really interesting case because as Kyle mentioned, he was just going to cash out. He thought he had a step up in cost basis when, his parents had passed away. But what happened was he got the property before the parents passed away. So he didn't realize he was going to have to pay a ton of taxes. So this is a way that we're able to get him the cash he needed without having to cash out and still increase his income.
Yeah, the taxes. Yeah, the taxes probably would have been to the tune of like 300,000, 400,000.
Yeah. I mean, he would have probably had to cash out the whole thing to get what he needed. I mean, he would have had extra, but not much. So now with these strategies, we recommend you do consult the CPA, and we're more than happy to be on that call to explain this concept. I did consult 4 CPAs on my own, and 2 of them literally said it was genius. The other 2 was like, yeah, it's no issues there. The 1031 is satisfied, but we do need to consult with their tax professional before employing any of these strategies.
So yeah, as Richard mentioned in the chat, usually we'll present for 45 minutes to an hour. We've actually done a 9-hour session for realtors before. We found that most people, ourselves included, don't want to sit that long through that much detail. So we kind of gave you like the appetizer today. If you guys want to learn more, we'd be happy to come back out and go into more detail, show a little more examples. Yet feel free to reach out to us. We have maybe like a minute or more, depending on how much time you guys have. If you guys have any questions.
So while we're waiting, go ahead. You have a question?
Hi, I just want to say thank you so much, Kyle and Richard. I'm going to connect you with a couple of my friends that are on here that also own brokerages. They want you to, connect with them. And the rest of the agents that are here, this is just another tool for you in your toolbox as you're talking to investors, people that own property, people that have rentals. This is just going to elevate your conversations. So if you have any other questions, you can email them directly and connect them with clients. This is very amazing information. The question is, the only way to buy into a DST is through a sale of a property, yes?
Yeah, 1031, yeah.
It has to be a 1031. I can't just write you a check for 100 grand because I want to just write you a check for 100 grand.
Yeah, no, we have other options. Yeah, we have other options. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention, I think how you folks may utilize it is if you know investors or meet investors, that you just say, hey, how are you liking managing your property? If I could show you a way that you could eliminate management, maintain or increase your income, would you be interested in learning more and possibly listing the property with me? So it's having those type of conversations that we've been able to get listings.
Yeah, like the gentleman I introduced Kyle to, he owns 24 properties and he wants to sell like 8 of them.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's like, I hate tenants. Like, I never want to see them again.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Today was my second conversation. He had really great questions. I love that guy. He has such good questions. And, I think I was able to answer the ones that was what was holding him back from selling. So I think now if you follow up with him, have a conversation.
Oh yeah, he texted me. He said, "Thank you for introducing me to Kyle. When can we talk?" So I'm like,
perfect.
Yes,
Awesome.
All right.
yeah.
Properties.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if people own multiple properties. I mean, the DST is a great exit strategy. A lot of people think they just got to sit on the properties till they pass away. So it's a way they can get out. We can help them cash out some. So if they don't have that emergency savings, there's a lot of different strategies we can employ, that can change their lives.
Yeah, we have investors that own, like you said, they're equity rich and cash poor.
That's right.
And my parents being one of them, like they have, quite a bit of paid off properties, but then they don't have monthly income from that. So this is a solution for them to create passive income and, create more passive income and get some of that cash in their hands. So
Exactly. Yeah.
And they still get to stay in real estate. So then they pass it on to the next generation, and you guys get to step up in cost basis, no taxes.
Yeah.
No taxes, step up cost. Awesome. Well, we'd love to have you back soon. We'll go ahead and send all your contact information to our agents. I know LaShonda's using you for her personal property as well too. So thank you so much for your time. Does anybody else have any questions? How much time do you guys have? Are you guys done? You guys have another commitment right now, Kyle?
No,
no, we've got like we got until 10 o'clock booked yet. We can answer questions. We would have to stay on that long.
Yeah, does anybody have another question?
I do. Awesome. I want to see all your faces.
Yeah, LaShonda has a question.
Yeah. So my question is, when you're in the DST, you have your money in the DST. Can you, when the term of the DST ends, can you re-up? Can you
Yep.
purchase another DST? Do you continue on?
Yep. So you have the option of 1031 exchanging back into regular property, or you can 1031 exchange into the next DST. You can cash out some or cash out all. Now, of course, if you cash out, you're going to pay tax, but so you have all of those options. And I would say 99% of our clients are just exchanging into the next DST.
Right. Okay. And then that was my next question is, when you exchange into the next DST, can you take cash out? Can you take some? And then when you do take cash out, would you be paying capital gains on that cash?
That's correct. So
Okay.
yes, you can take out cash during the exchange and you would be paying tax. So gains always come out first, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, those were my two questions. Thank you so
No,
much.
it's
It was great listening. I'm glad I was able to catch this class.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I also wanted to share, I helped a client who was referred to me. They were getting tired of managing their little rental property, 400,000, one bedroom apartment. And so we did the DST. And after that, I mentioned the LLC thing. They said, "Hey, Richard, yeah, I think this will work for our family property." So they ended up selling their family property, which is a 23-unit multifamily. And we did that into the DST. And this year we're going to dissolve the LLC and split it. So everyone has their own shares. So they don't have to be tied at the hip anymore. And then they said, we have one other property and then we'd be fully retired. So they just at the end of last year sold their last investment property. So now they're all in the DST. We pretty much doubled their income. Even in the LLC, we doubled their income and they're fully retired now. So.
Do we have any other questions? Sebastian, put your hand up. Those are some good questions.
Yeah. Hi, good morning. This is Sebastian. I had a question for you. If you go into the DST, is there a period of when you could get out of it to get more properties under the 1031? Or what I'm trying to say, is it forever or you could take it out?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, the DST on average is about 5 to 7 year hold time frame. Now, there's no minimum time frame you're required to hold. There's no penalty to get out. However, it's not like a stock or mutual fund where we can just place a trade. So we have to find buyers for your shares. So if people get into the DST, even as a backup, we tell them you should be willing to hold that 5 to 7 years. Now, the average has been 5 years or less, but we tell people 5 to 7 should be the expectation. Now, if it's an emergency or whatnot, we can try to get you out, but there's no guarantee we'd find buyers, at what you got in. Now, the good news is you don't have to sell all of it. It's I only need 100,000. You can try to liquidate what you need, so that'll kind of control your taxes as well. At the 5 years when it goes full cycle, or that time frame when it does go full cycle, then you do have the option of exchanging back into regular property or DST or cashing out at that point. So we tell people wait to that time frame, because when you wait to the end, if there's any gains, and their target growth is about 20 to 30%, although last year, as I mentioned, we had 38 to 250% growth on the DSTs because the market was so good. If you wait to the end, you're going to get your proportionate share of that growth.
Okay, it makes sense. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sorry if I missed it. I came a little late, but this
Not
is
at
great
all.
information.
Good question.
Appreciate
Good
it.
question. Yeah.
And thank you, Sophia, for sharing their information later on with us. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's go take some listings, guys.
Yeah. So as Kyle and I would like to support you however we can. So, we can come back and do a deeper dive. We can also do like how we did the trainings with Team Lally's ISAs with talking points. And you guys don't need to be the expert on the DST. You just need to recognize and, some of the hot buttons and then send them to us. We'll help close it for you and get you the listing.
I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
That's amazing. Just remember they're a couple hours behind us.
It's okay. It's okay.
I've got 2 young kids, and then Richard's got what are your kids? 6,
7 months, 7 months,
so,
identical
yeah,
twin
So you're
girls.
up.
He's
Yeah.
up. He doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Richard. Did I hear you
Thank
say
you.
7-month-old identical twin girls?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm usually up at around 4 in the morning. So it's okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We will be sending out their contact information. Again, these are high level conversations that you can have with clients that no other realtor is having, and that should earn you business out the bat. Just having more knowledge than the next person will earn trust.
Yep, exactly.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for
Thank
being here,
you.
Kyle and Richard. We appreciate you, and thank you,
Awesome.
thank you everybody that showed up today.
Thank you. We'll
Hello.
be posting our information on our private Facebook group. So awesome. Thank you. Thanks for joining us,
Everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome.
Right.